And now, recorded live in Southampton, England, it's the Dead Piett Society podcast.
Hello guys, and welcome to episode 10 of the Dead Piett Society. It's a weekly podcast recorded right here in the heart of Southampton. Each week we take a look at the weirdest stories from the week's news, discuss the best and worst things we've come across, talk about random aspects of geek culture and whatever's going on in our lives and in our heads. If you want to join in the discussion, you can. Please do get in touch. Email us, studio@deadpiettsociety.com, tweet us at deadpietsoc, or you can even phone us and leave us a voicemail. Call our Skype line 02380 971 030, or you can look up Dead Piett Soc on Skype. For more information about the podcast, you can head to www.deadpiettsociety.com. Now, appearing on the podcast this week,
Albert Galpin.
and that's me. Hello, everyone. You can find me on Twitter as well if you want, at Al Galpin. Also in the studio this week, we have
Kitty Galpin.
Evening, Kitty.
Hello.
How are you? You all right?
I'm sleepy.
You're sleepy. She's also, I'll point out, sat in an armchair today.
I'm the queen of the podcast this week.
So
I'm
she's-
in a throne.
Yeah, she's in the big comfy chair, in my big comfy chair, because her leg hurts. So me and Ed have to slum it. Speaking of, also welcome to the podcast.
The man, Ed Sharples.
Evening, Ed.
Hello.
You right?
Yes, although I've got chair jealousy.
Yeah, I have as well, actually. Not only is she sat in that big comfy chair, she's got that massive thick blanket
Wrapped
I've
wrapped
got
around
the
her
fluffiest
shoulders.
blanket that anyone has ever come across.
It's quite an impressive setup.
It is. I
It's
know.
the best setup thus far. In all 10 weeks this has been going.
Yeah. Talking of best so far, your intro was the smoothest you've done so far.
You think?
There was no stumbling over any words or anything?
It
was
definitely
just-
helped taking out irreverent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Thank-
agree.
Thanks very much. Coming up tonight are the best and worst and the weird week that was, but we always start with a brief catch up with all of our team and an opportunity for us to share our opinions on whatever we like. So has anyone got anything to start this week?
No. Al, what about you?
I do have two pieces of quite big news.
Ooh.
Kitty knows about these.
I've not
told
been
her
told.
already. This is brand new for Ed as well as for you, listener.
Hence why I prompted.
Yeah, this is why you bad it straight back to me. I had two phone calls today.
Yes.
Not sure which order to do these in.
Oh.
I'll do them in
Start with-
reverse chronological order.
Yes.
So, literally, as I'm driving up outside Kitty's office
Yeah.
to pick her up this afternoon, I got a phone call from a recruitment consultant
Right.
saying that I've been offered a job.
Right.
The one I went for an interview at Aegeus,
Yeah.
they've offered me the job.
Oh.
So,
And he's accepted
I
it.
have
Fantastic.
a job.
So when are you joining the working force?
She was going to come back to me on that. I think they're looking about the 15th.
Oh, that's
Feb.
beautiful. So you've even still got a couple
Another
of
I've got
weeks
the rest of this
to...
week and all of next week.
Oh, lovely. Oh, great news.
So
Well done.
That was brilliant. What did confuse me about the process was that it was a recruitment consultant, and I didn't go through the job for a recruitment consultant.
went
I went
direct.
direct to the company.
Right.
So why it came back via them?
Fair enough. I thought you were about to say that you'd been offered a job by the recruitment consultant. I thought you were going to
Well,
say...
to be honest, out of all the jobs I've looked at online for the last couple of months,
Yeah.
there seems to be more recruitment consultant jobs going than anything else.
Weird.
Perhaps JP could give some insight as to why that may be.
Yes, me might have to ask him next time we
Being
speak
that
to
he
him.
works in the industry.
He does indeed. So yeah, that's my
That's
first
great
big news.
news.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it?
He'd written it off. He thought he hadn't got it, and
Well,
they
they-
just hadn't bothered to tell
they
him.
Is
told
that the
me-
one that
they
said
said,
they'd get in touch within a couple
You'll
of days?
hear by Tuesday at the latest.
Yeah.
And a week on Tuesday, and I got offered the job.
Oh, brilliant news.
So that's the first bit of good news. The second,
Yeah.
this morning while I was sat on the sofa, I got a phone call
Right.
from a guy called Sam, from a production company.
Right.
And next Tuesday afternoon, Kitty and I are going to Bristol to audition to be on Pointless.
What? No way! Oh, that's huge. I don't know which is the biggest.
I know. You know, they say things come in threes. I said, Al, have you got your Minutes ticket?
So yeah,
Oh,
we are
wow.
going to Bristol next Tuesday afternoon. I have to do this sort of audition process.
Right. Do you have to just show that you can answer questions?
No.
we
They
have
said
to
it
show
doesn't
up.
matter if you're brainy, it's about your personality.
Yeah.
Oh, you're in.
Well, Al did a personality test for a job
Oh,
and
that's
was
right.
I didn't, did
unsuccessful.
you?
That's because he was too personable.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
You're too much fun. You're more quiz show contestant than team leader. That's what they thought.
Yeah. Have you thought of applying for Aegeus? They love personalities.
Oh yeah, obviously. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. We have to go. We have to introduce ourselves. There's apparently 6 couples or something at a time who get auditioned. So we have to introduce ourselves in front of everyone.
Wait, there's going to be other people?
Yes, and we have to then do I think we're doing some kind of general knowledge test.
Yes.
Which I think is just a written test from the way the email was written.
Well, when I spoke to the guy on the phone, he said, "Oh, don't worry, I only got 6 out of 20, so I think there's 20 questions."
Okay.
I assume Alexander and Richard won't be there at the audition stage.
No. But after we do that general knowledge thing, we then play Pointless.
Yeah.
To get used to the format and just to have a little bit of fun.
And
Would you play it on the set?
No, we're in a hotel somewhere in Bristol.
Oh, right, okay.
So I only did the application last week, and I submitted it, and I thought, we won't hear about anything for months, if ever. And literally, I got less than a week later, I get a phone call saying, "Are you free next week?" I said, "Sorry, it's a bit late notice, but."
Oh, that's the perfect show for you. You've got so much pointless knowledge.
Yeah, we really, between us, have got a lot of pointless knowledge.
So what we might do not tonight, but on future episodes of the podcast, maybe have to do a practice question each week.
That's a good idea.
I'll start,
bit of revision.
I'll start thinking of some.
Yeah.
Bring them to you.
So what about you, Ed? What else have you been up to this week?
My life this week has mainly been ailment-based, unfortunately. Ailments, yeah. I found out at the age of 35 I got rosacea, which I think sounds like a kind of middle-aged woman kind of problem. So
it's the sort of thing I normally expect to see on wealthy upper class people who spend a lot of time outdoors.
Drink a lot of port.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so that was one thing, and then my arms stopped working properly on Sunday. So
when you say stop working properly, did they just start randomly flapping about?
No, not that bad. They've just gone numb from the elbow down. So
both of them.
Both of them. Yeah, it's quite impressive. Yeah. I did the stupid thing to do. When I got into work on the Monday, I did one of those symptom checker things online.
Oh dear, I bet
it
told you were
foolish.
dying.
It came up with, I think it was the NHS symptom checker, so it wasn't any dodgy one. And once I got to the last question, it said phone an ambulance. So, so I thought, if I'm in the sort of state where I'm able to do a symptom checker online, I don't think I have to phone an ambulance. So I phoned 111 instead.
Okay.
And
did they say phone an ambulance?
Yeah, they did. No. I basically spent half an hour on the phone to someone saying no, 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 to every question they asked, at which point they was like, yeah, take some ibuprofen.
Well, they were really helpful to Al when he phoned up about me that time.
Oh.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, were you being sarcastic there?
Yes.
She was having extreme pains.
Yeah.
And they said, painkillers and rest.
Yeah. Self-medicate and go to bed.
It wasn't getting better. So at 1 o'clock in the morning, I phoned again. And they said, we'll get a nurse to phone you back to discuss it further. That might be up to 4 hours. 2 hours later, she was literally screaming in agony. So I just put her in the car and drove her to A&E.
Yeah.
Where they admitted her, and 36 hours later they took her appendix out.
So if she'd have...
Whilst I was in the hospital, I got a phone call from NHS Direct. Wanted to know what was going on.
Did you? I didn't realise they'd phoned you back.
I turned it off. I turned my phone off when I was at the hospital. When I came out, I had a voicemail from them
and
saying, "Oh, sorry, we've not got through to you. If you still need us, phone us back."
You should have phoned them back and said, "Nah."
I was really tired, so I didn't bother phoning them back. I was tired and angry, and had I phoned back, I'd have been like, "Yeah, I didn't take your advice. I've taken her to hospital just to let you know she's just come out of surgery."
Fantastic. So that will go on their feedback forms.
Yeah, absolutely.
A black mark. Yeah. Well, the person who initially took my call, I can't remember her name, but she said, "Right, I'm going to have to pass you through to, I guess, someone with more medical training or something." So got through to him, and he said, "Hello, is that Gordon?" I said, No, it's not. I said, "Oh, what's your name then?" "Edwin." Not Gordon. No, not Gordon. I'm Edwin. Edwin Sharple. No, I said Edwin Sharples. And he went, oh, we got your surname right then. Okay. And then he asked me to confirm all the other details again because
he didn't trust the person.
Yeah. And then it's like, how did she get Gordon from Edwin? I have no idea, but it's my impenetrable accent, isn't it?
Yeah, it must be.
It's really hard to understand. People listening to the podcast must have a terrible time.
Yeah.
In general, I think that's not just my accent. No, don't badmouth the podcast on the podcast.
It's a good podcast. It's a good podcast.
I think this week especially we've had some fantastic content so far.
But no, that's good.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's good. You've been ill for the whole weekend in various ways.
Good that you didn't have to call an ambulance.
Yes, that is
what
good.
I was
getting at. It is.
It's good that you're still alive and with us.
I would raise my arms, but I can't feel them.
Before we move on to the next stage of the podcast, there is one other thing that we've all experienced in the past week that we should talk about. And that was last night.
Ah, yes, it was.
Last night, the three of us, plus Katie and a few others, we went to Harbour Lights Cinema for a special Our Screen. Is it Our Screen?
Our Screen.
Screen.
Or as it said on the screen before the show started, did you see?
No.
You know where it said Die Hard, and I've just given it away. We went to see Die Hard.
We tweeted about it.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you know where it said Die Hard, a special screening.
Yeah.
Where it was meant to say Our Screen, it said Our Skeen.
Our Skeen?
Yeah, they left the R out.
Oh,
I didn't even notice.
I was too busy munching popcorn.
So we went to the special Our Skeen screening.
Yes, we did.
Of Die Hard.
And it was really good.
It was.
I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I? It's amazing how watching a film you've seen countless times on a bigger screen, with a few more people, just improves it even, and it was so cool.
I very much enjoyed it, although it was a lot longer than I remembered it being.
Yeah, there was length to it.
There was length. Yeah, you were absolutely shattered by the time it was finished.
Near the end, I thought I was getting to the stage where, you know, when you think to yourself, it's okay, I'll just rest my eyes for a second. And I'd done that a couple of times, and so I had to turn to Al and say, how long's left? Because I'm going to fall asleep.
I was like, I can't remember, but I'm sure it's not that long. No, but it was a good experience. I like that cinema, actually.
It's well,
nice.
I said, one of the chaps who was sat behind us, Stuart, I said to him, it must have been a few years since I've been there, because they've completely refitted it, and like their regular seats are like the premium seats at other cinemas now.
And they recline.
Yeah, they recline as standard.
Yeah. Caught you out
And
with
they've
that, didn't
got
they?
acres of leg
Yes,
room.
you did.
You didn't know they reclined, so I sat behind you and just pulled your chair back.
That was fun.
No, last time I went there was to see The Damned United.
So that was a fair while ago. Yeah. Good book.
Not read the book.
Good
film.
He doesn't read books.
I know it doesn't. We've discussed that, haven't we? Yeah.
No.
No, it's a good film as well.
Maybe I'll mention a book that I've read in our next feature, which leads us on nicely to our next feature.
Which is our next feature.
It's time for our favourite and most hated things from the past week. The Dead Piett Society's best and worst.
Okay, so it's the best and or worst things that we have seen, read, played, heard, done, whatever, in the past week.
Okay.
Has anyone got anything they'd like to start us with?
I'd like you to start, because I'm quite liking you starting this week.
Okay.
Because you're normally you're normally the conductor. But
this is true.
I think you add so much with your own stories. So let's let them go first.
Thank you very much.
Flourish, Al. Go forth and flourish.
Well, there was a couple of things
Sorry.
this week.
Based on that, my sister said you're made for radio.
Oh, thanks.
Just thought I'd mention that.
Speaking of your sister, we haven't mentioned this in the show yet because you weren't here last week.
No.
2 weeks ago after...
Should we mention this later?
Well, this came from the best and worst from 2 weeks ago.
All right then.
And it was, you said that your best thing was Crossy Road.
Yes.
And there was this whole thing about your score and your niece's score.
That's correct.
I've not got anywhere near your score. That one I sent you, 141, whatever it was, I've not even come anywhere close to that again.
I don't get it.
I haven't even attempted
I
it.
did try playing it last night on the way to the cinema, and I struggled because the character I was playing with was an old-tired woman, and everything was in sepia tones, and I couldn't tell the difference between the rivers and the road. So I thought I was trying to get across a road quickly and just drove straight into the river. And I did that so many times. But yeah, we had a letter or an email come in on the back of that, and it's the first piece of correspondence we've received on the podcast, and I got very excited when I saw it come through. Until I read it.
You weren't excited after you'd read it?
Well, I was slightly concerned at first before I realised who it was from. And it just said, I'm writing in regard to your recent podcast, and in particular the comments of Ed Sharples regarding his high score on Crossy Road. I am currently having problems with my 9-year-old daughter caused by these comments. Since hearing the podcast, she has become inconsolable. She has expressed feelings of worthlessness and despair, and I have been forced to keep her home from school in an attempt to rebuild her self-esteem. During her absent days from school, she has succeeded in increasing her score to 364. However, I believe in order to reach 555 and bring about a return of her confidence, she will have to remain home for a further week or more. She is a very bright girl, and I would hope that she might attend university, leading to a successful career. Unfortunately, I think that a job in McDonald's is the most she can hope to achieve should Ed continue to gloat about his score. There's a little bit more, but it's signed Miss Angela Brown.
Yes, I know that name.
Yeah. Why do you know that name?
Because I think she said what she is at the end of...
She did.
Yeah.
She calls herself Ed's much more intelligent, better looking and evil big sister.
Yes. I agree with the evil bit.
Any comments, Ed?
Well, you know what? I messaged her.
Yep.
My message mainly just said it's 6:45 now. Actually, she might need another week off. So, and yeah, my other comment is that I think she's due a fine from the school governing board, because that is not a reasonable reason to keep a child home from school. So I will be writing my own email or letter to the governing board as soon as possible.
Okay, well, that takes care of that then.
Yeah.
Touché.
I've got a new fountain pen. I'm going to make use of it.
Once you get it out of the 8 bags, it's come in.
No, it came from China this time.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it still took less time than the chap in John Lewis did.
I thought you were talking about the John Lewis pen.
No, I've got a
another
new pen. I've had since that John Lewis pen.
Get through?
Since that John Lewis pen, I've had 3 new pens.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a bit of a pen problem?
I'm a penisseur. No, that sounds wrong. Yeah.
How did you get them from that website, Pen Island? No? Okay. Moving on to the best things I've seen this week. Firstly, something I heard this week, which was podcast. I've been listening to a few more around the house the last few weeks. I've been putting podcasts on in my headphones whilst I'm playing games or washing up or whatever.
Putting up shelves, yeah.
And this week I listened to the last episode of Fat Man on Batman, which is Kevin Smith.
Right, I thought it might be.
Talking about Batman and other comic-related stuff. And that also led me on to listen to the Smodcast, the last edition of the Smodcast, which was recorded not long after Alan Rickman's death.
Right, because of course he was in Dogma, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. And there was barely a minute or two's worth of conversation where Kevin Smith couldn't speak. He'd speak for a little bit about something nice,
yeah,
and then he'd remember stuff and he'd start choking up, and you could really hear it in his voice. He was very emotional through that whole thing. No matter whatever you think about Kevin Smith, as from his work point of view, he's a very passionate man about all the things he does and what he likes and the people he likes. And to hear him speaking about Rickman, he was saying some really cool stories. He was saying he didn't want to be that guy who was like, oh, I've got celebrity friends, I'm going to phone them and hang out with them.
Right.
He never liked making that contact. But he said in the years since Dogma, he'd become really good friends with Alan Rickman, and they'd hung out a lot, like loads, and they'd spent a lot of time together. But he said he suddenly realised recently that every single time he hung out, it was Alan Rickman who'd initiated it.
Oh, really?
He would phone him and say, do you want to do something? Oh. And like every time Kevin Smith was in London, he'd phone and I hear you're in town, what do you want to do? And they would just hang out, and he'd ask about his kid and his family and all that sort of stuff. So it was quite a sad listen in that respect, but to hear those stories, to hear the story of how he told Jane Muse that, you know, we've got a serious actor on board for dog mode. You've got to pull it together.
Yeah.
And he went away and learned every single line in the script, whether it was his or
And
not.
he's not the sort of person to do that
He's
kind
really
of thing,
not.
is he?
Because he said he didn't want to let Alan Rickman
Yeah.
down. And I just thought it was brilliant. And it was full of really good stories and some really good insight in regards to how that came about. And he also said that he wasn't sure that Alan Rickman was going to do Dogma at first, but he loved the idea of it and he came on board. And they hadn't cast God yet.
No.
And Rickman said, I can get Emma Thompson.
Right.
And Emma Thompson said, I would, but we're trying to have a baby at the moment, and so I'm not taking on any work. And that's the only reason she didn't do it.
Gosh.
So yeah, they almost had Emma Thompson as God.
Alanis worked.
Alanis
So
worked pretty
that's
well,
fine.
yeah.
Oh, that's a Dogma spoiler.
Yeah, it's a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an old film,
I was
though.
going to say,
If you haven't seen
16,
Dogma by
so
now,
15 years.
Well,
we're
yeah,
okay.
I was going to say, what is the limit on
I was going to say,
spoilers, 'cause
if Force Awakens is right from now, then... Sorry, I've mentioned Star Wars again. But anyway, if
no problem.
We do talk a lot about Star Wars. But yeah, it's the Dead Piett Society. We've discussed this. Yes, we should be allowed to.
Absolutely.
But yeah, 15 years, you're allowed.
Yeah, absolutely.
and if you haven't watched it, watch it because it's a good film.
It is. It's very
It's
good
one of my
film.
mum's favourites, in fact.
You read something this week?
I did read something this week.
Dun, dun, dun.
Don't be too surprised. It's not got many words in it.
Right.
It's called Delayed Replays.
Okay.
And it's a comic strip collection by Liz Prince. I have another Liz Prince book upstairs, which is called Would You Still Love Me If I Wet the Bed?
Oh.
And it's just short little... That one's like pages of 8 little mini stories each one of different like situations and relationships. This is more just like, these are little strips that I think she did as a webcomic.
Right.
So each one is just 3 panels. And there's some really weird, funny things in there. And they're just so simple
Yeah.
and so funny and so true of normal life, but you just, sort of thing you don't realise
Yeah.
until someone points it out to you, that sort of stuff.
So it's observational humour.
Yeah. This was just weird. It just says, what's wrong? Oh, I'm just bummed. Oh, that sucks. But your hair looks great. And just simple little
nice.
things like that. But it's drawn in such a little sort of sketchy way.
So you could read it in like an hour.
Yeah,
You're done.
you could really read it really quickly, but it's not. You don't have to read them all in sequence anyway. You can
dip
just pick
in.
it up and just read one. Yeah, it's the sort of thing. It's just, I just pick it up and go,
Looks nice.
yeah, that looks cool. That's fine.
What made you pick it up in the first place?
Her previous one
Yeah.
that I got, I don't know which order they actually came out in, but the one I got, Will I Still Love You If I Wet the Bed, I saw a preview for free on Comixology
Right.
on an iPad a couple of years ago, and I downloaded it and I really liked it, so I sought it out on Amazon and bought it. And at the same time I saw she had a couple of others, and I put this on my wish list, and it's been on there ever since. And recently I had to buy something, or bought something,
Yeah.
and it was like, free delivery if you spend £4 more.
Ah.
So
Wasn't it Baxter's Heat Pad?
it was Baxter's Heat Pad, yeah. So I just added this to the order to
Brilliant.
get free delivery, so
That's quite
effectively this
handy.
was free. And I really enjoyed it. I know it's not a particularly in-depth
No.
review,
it
but
worked.
it's just something extra to throw in.
I liked it. It worked.
Thanks. What about you, Kitty? What's been the best and or worst thing of your week?
Best thing I've seen was a dog video, unsurprisingly.
Obviously, you love dogs.
It was dogs failing at stairs. So, like, trying to get up and down stairs in funny ways.
Okay.
But the main thing was that I read a book. I picked it up on Saturday morning
Yeah.
or around Saturday lunchtime. I then did not stop reading it again until about 5 o'clock Sunday when it was finished.
Wow. What book?
It was The Girl on the Train, and I cannot even remember the name of the author off the top of my head. I keep wanting to say Gillian Flynn, but that's Gone Girl.
Hi, I'm just interjecting to say that The Girl on the Train was written by Paula Hawkins and is available to buy now on Amazon. Check the link in the show notes.
I had it in my head before doing the podcast, but it's completely gone since, so apologies.
But it was a really good book.
Yeah, it was of a similar ilk to Gone Girl. It was a thriller. And it was sort of written in first person narrative style.
Right.
with different points of view of the different characters in the book. So each character on their own, not really revealing all of the facets of the story. So you had to just keep reading, because it's like, okay, something's going on here, but this person clearly doesn't know. So get to the next person, which is the next chapter, because that person might know something. And that is how I ended up reading it so quickly. And yeah, I thought it was a really good read. I enjoyed it. I did have my reservations about it after I'd finished, and that was mainly to do with one of the characters' arcs.
Oh, I was going to ask, because I read someone said something a while back. Whenever you get a story where there's various characters and it flits between the characters, do you ever find you get one character whose story is really dull and you just want to skip past it?
Yes. And then that's usually the character's story that becomes really significant.
Slow build one.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to hear from this person. Go back to Bob, and then.
Was there one of them characters in this book?
Yes, at first, and then towards the end, she was the one that I wanted to hear. Oh. She was the one I wanted to hear from.
Wow. So you can't.
We get like that sometimes with episodes of The Walking Dead, don't we?
If they focus on one character,
split into groups quite often, and something major happens with one group, and then the next 2 or 3 episodes they never go back to it. They're looking at other people, and you're like, I want to go back and see what happens over there. And I want to see this, but then chances are something will happen in those, and you get. Yeah. But yeah, it's quite often when you've got any kind of story with multiple groups of people and multiple characters in completely different situations, I think you often get into that situation of there being one or two that you just, no, I want to go back to.
Another similarity that it had with Gone Girl was that you weren't really your main narrator was
Ben Affleck.
Unreliable. You couldn't trust what they were saying.
Okay.
Because of certain elements of their backstory. Oh. And also, I guess what we would call the main narrator is really quite difficult to like. And you end up flitting between thinking, oh, what a horrible person, I detest you, to feeling sorry for her in the next minute.
Oh, it sounds intriguing.
It's a very good book. You can borrow it if you want to, because as I said, I finished it. So you could borrow it if you wish. I've got a
lot of rubbish books to be reading.
Maybe it's high time you read a good one.
Probably is.
Anything else from you this week, Kitty?
No, that's the best. That is the best.
Have you got anything worst?
It's kind of a bit of a rant, though. Ooh. It's a bit of a rant.
What do you want to rant? Here's your opportunity.
I'm not going to go into an in-depth rant, but I'm getting a little bit annoyed with seeing the motherhood challenge constantly in my Facebook timeline.
Oh. Is that because you think there should be a dadderhood challenge as well, or do you just...
No, I just don't.
You're not fussed?
I'm just not fussed. I'm a little bit bored, and I know that sounds really horrible because...
It's a bit exclusive as well.
It is quite exclusive.
Yes.
Most of these things, they'll either allow an entire gender to take part, or just everyone to take part.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a friend who'll nominate you. I rarely get nominated. But yeah, this one is very much, right, you're part of our special
And I'm
club.
not even going to go down the angle of the criticism from a feminist point of view on there and engendering certain stereotypes of what women's purposes should be. I'm not even going to go into that. But it's quite insensitive because there could be people who can't have kids or have problems or for whatever reason have lost babies and I think it's quite unsympathetic. So it's like, hey everyone, look at my perfect baby and my perfect family life. And then it's the whole tag a load of people who you think are great mothers. So they tag maybe like 5 people. What about if there's other people they haven't tagged who are mothers? And it's kind of like it's almost like encouraging judgment on each other.
But then
it's a bit cruel.
On an opposing view, anyone can be offended by anything in that respect, can't they? And you don't want to restrict people from doing anything.
That is true.
As long as it's not any sort of hate crime or promoting hate or anything like that. At the end of the day, it's something that's a bit annoying.
Yeah, and that is mainly my problem with it. Yeah. It's a bit annoying. Yeah. No one's really doing anyone any major harm.
It's a bit look at me, how great am I?
It's just the latest thing of the week on Facebook.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. No one's probably...
Like, oh, look at me as a kid. Oh, now look at my kid.
Yeah.
What's next?
People aren't probably reading that much. They're just going, I've been nominated. I'll put some photos up.
Yeah.
And that's it, really, I guess.
The one thing I did see was a woman's
Oh, God.
5 photos of her proud to not be a mum.
Oh,
So it was 4 photos of her asleep
right.
and one of her holding a bottle of wine.
That's very clever.
And what about yourself, Ed? What's been the best and or worst things from your week?
Okay, I'll start with worst, because that will leave me with nice things at the end. But also, it's a plea to Kitty at the same time.
Oh.
Could you please start writing your book? Because I've mentioned before, haven't I, my current obsession with reading anything, even though I don't watch wrestling these days.
Yep.
I have an obsession with reading anything to do with wrestling at the moment.
Yeah.
And I've ran out of biographies, proper biographies from people properly involved with the wrestling business. So I've started reading just random books about wrestling by people who've blatantly just looked on Wikipedia and written down a few facts.
That sounds awful.
It is. There's terrible grammar, misspellings everywhere. It's just awful. Self-published, £2 a book. Maybe I can make £2 out of this. I'm the person buying them books. And
Okay.
they're absolutely awful. So if they, who can't write at all, writing something and putting it on Amazon, can't someone who can write please write something and put it on there, and I'll at least give you my money?
Have you ever considered, if someone else is writing those crappy books about wrestling, having read all the books about wrestling now,
Yeah.
could you write one yourself?
No.
Do you reckon?
No, because I'm far too lazy. And
What about if you just dictated it and someone else wrote it out?
no, I like writing. I do like writing, and I did want to be an author when I was younger. But just no, I've got no inspiration ever. And what I could do is collate all the books I've read and fix all the misspellings and grammatical errors. That's another option.
It could be a
And
whole
make a
range,
compendium.
whole range of books. The Ed
Yeah.
Sharples collection.
Yes.
The Charles collection.
And they won't be able to sue me because they've stolen all their stuff off Wikipedia anyway. So yeah, it's a good option. So yeah, my worst things read or seen or anything this week are self-published Amazon wrestling books.
Okay.
So that's the worst. I had a best thing as well.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Simpsons Pictures That I Gone Undone?
No.
It's a website a Facebook page by a chap known as Chris, open brackets, Simpsons artist, close brackets.
Okay.
And he started off drawing pictures of The Simpsons. And then he's gone on to kind of... They were really odd styled pictures of The Simpsons. I wouldn't say they were bad because they're brilliant in their own way. But now he's just taken to doing other pictures in his own style and putting little quotes next to them and things like that.
Yeah.
Like there's one on his site at the moment that says, "Exercising will help you live for longer, and it will also help you build up strength to finally capture the wolf that killed your wife." And it has a picture of a topless man wrestling a wolf. And generally, it's things like that, and it's brilliant. Like around Christmas time, there was one. How do you get yourself in the Christmas spirit? Sellotape a mince pie to your forehead. And it's got a picture of a man with a mince pie sellotape to his forehead. It says, "Now does it feel like Christmas?" And the other man says, "Yes." And I just think he's brilliant, and it really makes me smile. And the other brilliant thing, he's got, how many followers has he got on Facebook nowadays? 820,000 followers on Facebook, or likes. I don't know what it is. Followers, likes.
How can we get that many likes?
We've probably got about that many. But the thing is, people will often comment on his pictures, and he will reply to the comments. And he has a very stream of consciousness style of writing. And it just makes me laugh so often. It's because it's just so lovely, this page. It's just... I can't describe how lovely it is. It just always makes me smile. Like his last post, it just says, I just walked up behind a lady in the street and I put her hair up in a ponytail without her even noticing. Love from your friend Chris, Simpsons artist. And then people will reply to his comments and to his posts. Like someone just wrote, Chris, you are the reason I wake up in the morning time and not try to die. And then, but then he'll reply to them, and he replies to so many of the posts on his thing. He just wrote, I think that it is important to do kind things for people, and I think that when the lady gets back to her work and she has finished having her lunch, she will look at her hair in the mirror in the toilet and she will get quite a nice surprise when she sees a brand new ponytail sitting on her shoulder like a big brown snake-shaped parrot. Love from your friend Chris, Simpsons artist. And it's just beautiful. And he writes so much stuff like this, and it's well worth checking out. That's my favourite thing. He's got a book out. It's something like motivational quotes to make your life better or something like that. But I can't buy it at the moment because I put it on my Christmas list, and
you're still awaiting some presents.
Exactly.
Are you?
Yes.
Christmas was like...
I know.
Well over a month ago now.
I'm just very hopeful when it comes to presents.
It reminds me, the one artist online that I quite like looking at stuff is Jim will paint it.
Oh, yes.
You seen him?
Yeah,
The one who
of
takes the
course.
request.
Yeah.
He is fun.
I like that one. Just reminded me of that. Well, I think that's this section of the podcast all done.
Yeah.
Which means we will move on to the next one in just a moment after this.
Some people say that everything that makes me cool I stole from another person. It's true, all of it. He's hip, he's cool, he's pretty good in a fight. He's the man, Ed Sharples.
Looking back at the oddest stories of the past 7 days, this is the Weird Week That Was. The Weird Week That Was.
Weird Week That Was.
This is the Weird Week That Was, where we'll be discussing some of the oddest news stories from the past 7 days. A week in which a pair of drug addicts were caught with £14,000 worth of nappy rash cream, and a cinema in Liverpool has been showing Groundhog Day 12 times in 24 hours.
They're both really good stories.
That's a good start, isn't it?
They're just your throwaway ones.
They're my throwaway ones, yeah.
Oh.
It's because it's Groundhog Day today. As we record this, it's Groundhog Day.
Does that mean that we're going to have to record it again right after this?
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
And so there's quite a few Groundhog Day things going on.
Okay.
Punxsutawney Phil says spring is coming.
Oh,
That's
good news.
the latest from Punxsutawney.
Yeah.
There's a cinema in Liverpool today that's been showing Groundhog Day over and over again all day.
Well, that's a really good idea.
And not to new audiences each time.
The same
to
people
the
are
same
staying.
audience. And there's a photo of them all sat in their sleeping bags in the cinema.
That's dedication.
And they're there for 24 hours.
I wouldn't be able to sit in a cinema seat for that amount of time. No way. Even the VIP
don't
comfortable
know.
ones that you pay for become uncomfortable
Them
after
ones
3
yesterday,
hours.
I reckon I could
Oh,
cope
those ones yesterday were pretty good, yeah.
with the reclining. And the brilliant thing about the reclining in them, you didn't even have to worry about reclining because the person behind you had so much room.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was so much room. But yeah, they're the throwaway stories of the day.
I want to know how many tubs of nappy rash cream are £14,000 worth.
2 pallets worth of E45.
Thank you.
It's E45, was it?
Yeah.
Not
Right.
Bepanthen,
No, it's E45.
not Pseudocrem.
In Rotherham.
Okay. So that's at Rotherham prices. So that's going to
That's
be
at
a lot.
Rotherham, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an interesting story. This first news story is actually one I was meant to mention last week because I had it saved.
Yeah.
And I forgot to read it.
Okay.
But the title is Runaway Bull Charged at Southampton Fan Called Portsmouth because he was wearing a red Saints shirt.
What?
No, I couldn't follow that.
A man just down the road from us in Totton, he was walking down the street in a Saints shirt, a red Saints shirt, and a bull had got loose from a local farm.
Where?
In Totton. It got into the high street.
Totton High Street?
Yeah.
A bull on the loose on Totton High Street?
Yeah.
But they're trying to emulate that thing in Spain where bulls run down the road.
Possibly.
Pamplona.
But yeah, so the bull charged him. And this man's name is Dan Portsmouth,
How did the bull know?
A Saints fan
called Portsmouth.
called Portsmouth.
I bet he gets it ripped out of him.
Yeah. Who happened, by a bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he happened to be wearing a red top.
Yes.
Well, a Saints top.
Yeah. And he had to jump out of the way, basically. And the ball missed him by a couple of inches, apparently.
Was it caught on camera?
I don't know. But the police later caught it and shot it.
Oh.
It was killed.
It was
Why?
killed?
Yeah, it was killed.
Why?
I don't know. It just says the runaway bull had just escaped from a field and was later shot dead by police yesterday afternoon after endangering traffic on the A326.
Oh, right.
But it's not like when they have to shoot a dangerous dog when the dog's gone mad. Charging is what bulls do.
Yeah.
It's not his fault he escaped. I think it's a little bit harsh that they shot it dead.
Does seem mean.
It does seem a bit mean, doesn't it?
I hope the farmer's going to be compensated.
If the police killed it, I think they have to, don't they?
I don't know. I don't know what livestock rules are.
If emergency services damage property in the process of something, I'm sure they have to.
I didn't
give
know if they did,
compensation.
because wasn't there something about police barging the wrong person's door down once and they didn't have to pay?
Oh, I imagine how mad you'd be if you
Or
had
is
a
it
composite
covered by
door.
insurance?
I don't know. The place where I used to play golf used to be next door to where do they keep horses?
Fields.
Stables or something like that.
Paddocks,
maybe. And there was a rule there that if a horse from there got onto the golf course, because you know how they keep golf courses pristine, the owner of the horse would be charged per footprint. And it was a matter of pounds, you know. It wasn't hundreds of pounds per footprint, but it was pounds. And if a horse is going to make a lot of footprints if it gets into a massive field like that. So yeah, that was always worth looking out for.
Ouchies.
Yes.
Story number 2. Man who lives next to beach complains to his council.
About.
The sand.
Oh, God. People like that need to be
What was his problem with the sand? He
deported.
might have a real problem with the sand. You don't know about this.
He's
Let's
I thought you were going to say he was complaining about the noise from the waves or something.
Seagulls.
let's give him the benefit of the doubt.
Pensioner wants Sedgemoor District Council to deal with drifting sand, which he says blocks drains and builds up on roads and footpaths.
See? That's perfectly reasonable. It's the council...
But would you not expect that when living next to a beach?
Nope. I would expect the council to do their job in beach maintenance.
Okay.
Groins are what I needed. Groins.
If we can't have our potholes and our road filled in, he can't have his sand cleared up.
Well, that's just a race to the bottom, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Kitty noticed that the worst potholes in this area are the ones on Villiers Road,
Right.
right outside the council action line in Pond.
Where they send out all the council maintenance people from.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And that's where the worst potholes are in town.
I'd love it if they got a puncture going out on one of their things.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. And then we're the only ones who report it. We've got to wait for a second person to report it for us to be able to fill them in. And you still know it'll take them. Oh, they're just leaving now. They'll be there in 3 hours to fill it in. But we're right outside. No, that's a bit of a silly story, really.
But I'm on his side.
Okay. And you're not.
I think he's somebody that likes to complain. I think if there wasn't any sand, I think even if the council had the problem in hand, he would find something else to complain about.
Apparently there's a wall at the top of the road that's meant to block sand, but it's been damaged by vandals. So maybe that's the issue.
Maybe
really.
that's the problem here. Maybe his problem is with vandals rather than sand.
Yes. Vandals, not sandals.
I was going... Beat me to it.
You know how you can get 3D scans of babies now?
Apparently,
Yes.
yep.
Apparently people are taking those 3D scans and turning them into 3D prints.
Oh,
That's
so they've got
weird.
like a model of their baby.
Yes.
Oh no, that's really freaky.
And this story here from the
Oh, I
Mirror.
hope that doesn't become a thing.
Parents are 3D printing their babies before they're even born.
No.
That's horrible.
And there's a picture here of a baby's face mounted in a frame.
Oh. I still don't really understand how them 3D printers work. They sound very odd.
It's not printing. It's basic. I don't understand why they're called
No?
printers, because it isn't printing. It's effectively manufacturing or model making.
But on a kind of small scale.
This is a bone of contention for me because I work in a print department. And because of this technology being so named 3D printing, my manager of my department seems to think it's a good idea for us to have a 3D printer.
What, and you don't want to have one?
No!
Because it's not printing in the traditional sense,
It's
is
not
it?
print, it's manufacturing. And I don't see...
It's not someone's going to go into them, can I have 200 business cards, 3,000 A4 flyers, and a 3D print of my face?
Yeah.
Because
As
how
part
are
of this campaign.
You know, we think we have problems getting people's artwork for an A4 poster. How are we going to get people's artwork for a 3D print?
I think it's still worth having one.
Nah.
If you can.
The one thing I've seen 3D printers that work quite well is when you go into somewhere and get your face scanned, and they will 3D print your head to go on an action figure.
That would be cool.
Don't Asda do that?
Asda did, yeah. They had a scanner come in a couple of days,
Wow.
and they did that.
Have you ever seen them 3D pens? They're really fun.
No?
I think they're called the 3Doodler.
Oh, I think I might.
And on the video advertising it, it just shows someone drawing a line on some paper, and then suddenly they just pull the pen up from the paper, and it draws a line there as well. And you can just make little models by drawing with this pen. It's really cool.
That's weird.
Really, really fun.
This modern day technology is like
I know,
some kind of
witchcraft.
Witchcraft.
Yeah, it is a bit. I can't imagine if we have a baby, I can't imagine getting a 3D print of the baby.
I wouldn't allow it.
Unless you get it in carbonite.
I'd be too freaked out.
Oh,
No, you're
yeah.
not having it.
Wall mount it.
No, not having it.
Okay.
no, if we're going to do that, I wouldn't do it with a baby, I'd do it with me.
Do it yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, wouldn't it?
Where would you hang it?
On the wall. Wait, you're talking about Alan Carbonite?
Yeah.
Or the
It
baby?
would make a good fridge door.
It would. You can get...
You can get
You
them.
can get stickers of it, can't you? But no, I'd just have it
On the
as a
back of the
wall
door
piece.
into the man cave
Yeah.
would be a good place for it.
I'd have it as a centrepiece. You, in Carbonite, that would go perfectly anywhere in the house. Anywhere. And it'd look cool. Can't...
It makes a bit of a statement having something that large.
Yeah, it does. Let's do it.
Yeah.
If we win the Euro Millions tonight, I'm doing it. you know, if we win the Euro Millions tonight, we'll end up with a big house, and one of those rooms is going to be...
Oh, I'm never going to go in there.
No,
I'll just
yeah.
walk in and be like, my head hurts.
It's going to be
There's
full
too
of
much
all
geeky
crap.
junk in here. Look at all the money you've wasted on this stuff.
Oh, you won't be worried about money and wastes of money.
As long as I get my puppy.
Yeah, you'll have a puppy farm or a puppy... not farm, puppy charity.
I want to
farm.
lay down and have puppies just like going mental all around me. That's like my idea of bliss. That is.
Some people want to, run a roll around in money. Or,
No.
Puppies.
I want to lay down and be attacked by playful
If
puppies.
you had lots of dogs, would you take them on the bus?
No.
Because I was on the bus the other day. I don't like being on the bus at the best of
No,
times.
me
It had been
either.
pouring down with rain.
And you can't keep dry. 'cause
Woman came on with her dog, and it smelt
Wet
so
dog.
badly of dog. I felt ill. I
What type of dog was it?
a smelly wet dog, and I honestly felt ill.
No,
It
if
was
I
horrendous.
won enough money that I had loads of puppies, I wouldn't take them on the bus.
No.
They'd be driven around in their own private car.
Fair
No,
enough.
that's excessive. Obviously not.
That is excessive. We'll move on.
Yeah.
Man leaves very polite note to burglars who keep stealing his car.
Oh,
And it worked.
really?
Yes, would you like to know what the note said?
I'd love
Yes.
to.
Because it happened, his car was stolen more than once and basically impounded, and he had to go and get it back
Right.
each time and pay the release
So it's the
fee.
same car each
Same
time.
car each
You
time,
kept
getting
getting
it.
it back.
So he wrote this note on it. Hello, if you're reading this, you are probably stealing my car. I'm a nice person and likely I would have given you a ride, but obviously we're past that. I would love to afford a car that doesn't get stolen and burglarised all the time, but I'm broke and this is what I'm stuck with, so you got me. Again. You're not going to get into trouble for stealing my car. As long as you don't mess around and kill a pedestrian, you'll just leave this somewhere and go about your business. Nobody investigates this tomfoolery. One quick favour, please do not leave my car somewhere it will get towed. If I have to deal with one more impound lot holding my stolen Honda for ransom, I'm going to lose my mind. And my car, because I can't afford to keep bailing it out of car jail. If I had any money, I would just go buy a goddamn car that wasn't constantly getting stolen in the first place. Please just leave my old piece of blank car in a neighbourhood or something. There's a note in this envelope. Just stick it on the dash or under a wiper. A passerby will see it eventually and call me, and then I can come get my car. No cops, no questions asked. I'm not even mad at you. It's win-win. I don't have to deal with police reports, insurance claims and tow trucks, and you don't have to feel like a jerk for ruining the month of a nice person.
Oh.
There are countless safe places to leave this thing. Drive the car, take my first aid kit and emergency supplies in the trunk. My stereo is worthless. And just leave this car in front of someone's house when you're done with it. Thank you. Enjoy your ride. P.S. If you don't mind committing another misdemeanour tonight, feel free to throw a brick through the window of something towing in Vancouver. They are literally the worst. Thanks. Have a good night.
That sounds like a note of desperation, though, doesn't it?
And it works. It got stolen again a couple of nights later, but it got left
they still took it.
And it got left outside someone's house this time, and they posted the note through the door of the house. The person phoned him to come and get it.
Oh, it's heartbreaking, but.
What does he mean? If I had some money, I'd get a car that wouldn't get stolen? Surely it's down to the area he lives in.
There are cars that are more break-inable.
Yeah,
my sister had her car stolen a lot in the past.
You might have an old car that the locks don't work properly.
Exactly.
Or it's just easy to stick a coat hanger in and open it up. A lot of modern ones with proper electronic locks, they can't get in as easily unless you smash a window, and then it's not the sort of thing you can keep stealing.
No. And get away with.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough.
Anyone here ever had their car stolen?
No, I've had a window smashed, and they didn't even take anything from it.
Yeah, no, we had that, didn't we? They smashed the window, dented the door in the process of smashing the window, but didn't take anything.
That was more, if they'd have taken something, I'd have probably been less annoyed.
We're going on to the next story. Tiny cocks. And 10 more politicians with really unfortunate names.
I was trying to work out whether you'd said.
This is a list after it's come out that Alex Salmond contributed to a report written by a Dutch politician called Tiny Cox.
Yeah.
That's Cox, K-O-X.
Of course.
Here's 10 more politicians with hilarious names.
Okay.
First one. Baroness Susan Garden of Frognall, or as she's more commonly known, Lady Garden.
Oh my goodness! Please, you wouldn't be known as that, would you? You'd have to change it, Lady Susan, please.
Baroness. What? Is Baroness? Do you automatically called Lady if you're a Baroness?
No,
Surely you're just called Baroness.
I never heard Baroness Thatcher called Lady Thatcher.
No.
I think
that sounds funny as well. That sounds like
there are some. These get better, trust me. Some of them aren't as great.
Sorry. No, carry on.
The next one on the list is Mark Reckless.
That's not crazy.
It's not that crazy. No. Next one is brilliant. The governor of Idaho is called Butch Otter.
Butch Otter.
He's a staunch opponent of gay marriage, despite marrying a woman who was called Gay. His wife's name is Gay.
First name Gay.
First name Gay.
So last name Otter.
You've got Butch
Otter.
and
Gay Otter.
Sounds like a cartoon to me.
It does, doesn't it? Butch and Gay Otter. They're not together anymore. They split up.
Has Butch come out?
I was going to say...
No, he married former Miss Idaho instead.
Oh, lovely.
He'd got fed up with the Gay Otter, obviously. Yeah. Randy Baumgardner.
Baumgardner?
Yeah, I think it might be pronounced Bumgardner, but it's B-A-U-M.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's Bumgardner when it's spelled like that.
Randy Bumgardner. He's a state senator in Colorado. But there's also a baseball pitcher called Madison Bumgardner.
There is.
Mad Bum, they call him.
Mad Bum. Oh, I'm sorry if that was your surname. I don't know if I'd been able to take it if we got married.
I don't know. Kitty Baumgardner's got
No way.
Kitty
I'll be like, I
Baumgardner.
think I'll keep my maiden name, thanks.
Kitty Baumgardner sounds like one of them kind of parlours for pets.
Yeah, I can see that. Next one, there's a sign here that just says "Crystal Ball for Congress."
Crystal Ball.
Crystal Ball.
Parents do this on purpose.
They do.
But you wouldn't call your kid Randy Baumgardner.
If your surname's Head, would you call your son Richard?
Well, I don't know. My first name's Ed and my middle name's Richard.
In 2010, Young Boozer was successfully elected Alabama State Treasurer.
Alabama.
Young Boozer. That's a great name as well, isn't it? The next one's not such a funny name. It's just funny because of what he did. That's Anthony Weiner.
Right.
Yep.
What was he?
He
Don't
sent
remember
pictures of his
Anthony
wiener
Weiner.
to...
He tweeted pictures of his wiener, didn't he?
I don't know.
yeah.
Oh, who is he?
Former New York representative, Anthony Weiner.
Okay.
Dick Sweat,
Oh, please.
former congressman for New Hampshire,
Oh,
and has been US ambassador to Denmark since 1998.
God, you'd be known as Richard, wouldn't you?
You really would.
That's exactly what the news article says. It said, still, you'd probably stick with Richard, wouldn't you? Yes, you would. Judge Janelle Lawless.
That's
Judge Lawless.
Yeah. Bit of a
Another representative from the great state of Texas, Dick Armey.
Dick Army.
Dick Armey.
Again, Richard.
Yeah.
Could be chanted well though, couldn't it?
Rumour has it in Washington his nickname is Big.
Big Dick Army.
Big Army.
Oh.
Big Dick Army.
Big Army.
Yeah, some cracking names there.
There are. The one I was going to ask about was, I think he was a politician who tried to get into FIFA at one time. I can't remember his name. Can you remember any weird...
Oh, Tokyo Sex Whale.
Yes, thank you.
I love how Al knew it straight away.
How do you forget
I know what you
that
mean.
name?
I know what you
Well, I
mean.
did. But yeah,
Mr. Sex Whale.
Good old Kyoto
Tokyo.
Shag Dolphin.
is that the alternative?
That's his alternative. Yeah, Tokyo Sex Whale.
Yeah, I always liked Tokyo Sex Whale.
I think it's a great name.
Yeah.
I don't know, was it pronounced whale or was
I was
it
going to
wale?
say, is it
Wale.
Tokyo Sex Wale?
It possibly was.
Oh, yeah.
But Tokyo Sex Whale is much funnier.
Yeah, it should be on that list, really.
It should be, that's a good point. This next one is about a photography competition that's caused a bit of a stir.
I
And
saw this one yesterday.
There's two photography competitions that caused a stir. Are you thinking of the one with the plane?
Yes.
I've got a different one.
Oh,
I don't really know how that got through the quality control because it was so obviously photoshopped in that
There's
plane.
the plane one. There was a photo, I think, somewhere in Singapore
Looking
or
up a
somewhere. It's looking up a
staircase or something.
stairwell on the outside of a building, so it's got the ladder,
Yeah.
and kind of
like a fire escape.
like a fire escape type ladder,
Right.
and looking up directly as a plane flew overhead,
Okay.
and it's framed perfectly in the top of the ladder. It turned
But
out
there's a
later
white
that,
rectangle round it.
the plane was photoshopped on,
Oh.
but he'd won some competition from Nikon,
Yeah.
and it caused a bit of a
All
controversy.
right.
This one's also a bit of controversy, and for different reasons. A prize-winning selfie, which has sparked anger among horse lovers. This man won a £2,000 holiday thanks to this photo, but the owner of the horse, who was in the background of the photo, is not very happy. It's basically a photo of a guy, and he's got his kid in his arms, he's taking a selfie, and over one of his shoulders is a horse
Yeah.
who's kind of grinning and baring his teeth, like horses sometimes do.
Yeah.
And he entered this into competition and it won. And the photo was taken from a public footpath which walked past this paddock where this horse was. But the person who owns the horse feels that they have used their horse to win a competition, believes that they should be compensated in some way because they
No.
never asked for
Oh,
permission.
please.
No.
That's
No,
ridiculous.
I'm going to shoot that person down right away. The guy who won the competition is the guy that took the photo and spotted the opportunity and was the main subject of the photo. If it's a public place, then it's game.
Horses are probably quite gamey.
Right.
No, I agree. Aren't you allowed to take a photo? Well, although
Yeah.
it's not a public place in the respect that, well, he was stood in a public place,
Yeah.
but he was
Yes.
taking a photo of something that wasn't. But I think you're
This
you're
goes-
allowed to take photos wherever you like.
This goes back to something I heard recently, and I can't for me remember where it was now. I think it was a podcast or radio show of some kind that I was listening to, and they were talking about photographing property.
Yeah.
And this person was saying, as a kid, they had an art project or a design project of some kind, and they would just go down the neighbourhood, taking pictures of different houses of different design styles as part of their project, and that's all perfectly fine. He says now, he said he did it again. He took a picture of a house, and the person came out of the house saying, "What the hell are you doing? Taking a picture of my house? I don't give you permission to do this." So now kids who are doing the same thing have to knock on the door and ask permission to take pictures of the houses
But
before
they
do
don't.
it, because everyone else gets
Yeah.
crappy about it if you don't. So, but when did that become a thing.
It's not a legal thing,
It's
is
not
it?
a law.
No. It's just ridiculous. It's people
It's
being
polite
too
if you
precious.
ask in advance. It's more polite,
Yeah.
maybe. But at the end of the day, a photo of that house is not hurting anyone, especially when you consider Google Street View can look at the front of a house any time.
If it, I don't see the problem here.
From that point of view, maybe he doesn't even need to take the photo. You can just go on Google Street View. But, so this guy is taking a picture of somebody's property without their permission, but does he need permission?
No. If everyone was like this man, as litigious it sounds, then Google would be in big trouble, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I think you'll find you've got my car in your Google Street View. I didn't give you permission.
Well, what about you? If that was the case, you wouldn't have like YouTube sensation videos such as Fenton, because that video was clearly a passerby filming some dude chasing after his dog in Richmond Park.
Yeah.
So he didn't go to the guy,
Can I-
oh, just leave your dog for a minute. Just don't chase after him for a minute, even though he's causing havoc. Could I just get you to sign this waiver so I can video this?
Yeah.
That
You're right.
people are just being silly.
They are.
I think so. I think if you are in a public place or you've got something that's on a public footpath or visible from a public footpath, you can't moan about it when people look at it or take pictures of it. Or of you know, in the street. If you're in the background of someone's photo, you can't say, don't do that.
If you're happy to go out in public, you might have your photo taken.
Yeah. And if you are quite large and go out in public, you are quite likely for the BBC to film you from the waist down.
Yes,
So-
use
but-
you in an
yeah.
obesity report.
I always
Yeah.
wonder how then people feel if they see
They
themselves
recognise
on
themselves.
telly.
That's my legs.
That's my big fat
They're
belly.
talking about
That's my
fat
t-shirt.
people. Why are they calling me fat?
I always find that's really harsh when they do
I
that.
do.
Yeah, it is a bit mean.
Unless they film them and then say, "Listen, we're going to put you in a fat person segment." You all right with that?
Maybe they just don't tell them, we're just going to do a news article, would you be okay to be in a crowd scene? Yes. What's the
Yeah.
article about? Oh, it could be used for anything, it's stock footage.
Yeah.
That's probably more how they do it.
Yeah, I
to be
expect
fair.
so.
Thank you very much, Fatty.
Second to last story tonight. Student demands lifetime supply of Kit Kats after buying multi-pack without any wafers.
Oh, what a brat!
I think that's fair enough. No, actually, wait. What I do like in a Kit Kat is when you just get the tiniest trace of a wafer.
Like just extra thin wafer, so you get more chocolate.
Or just like, you know how teasers, you know teasers?
Yeah.
How they're like Maltesers but with
Tiny
just little
bits.
bits. Like that, just scattered bits of wafer here and
I
there.
haven't got a
That would be
problem
quite
with
good.
somebody sending a complaint email or a hilariously composed tweet to a company if
Yeah.
something arrives and is not as expected.
Yeah.
But what annoys me about this story is the sense of entitlement. Okay, maybe you'll get a free packet of Kit Kats or a voucher for, a few Kit Kats. What makes you think you're entitled to a year's supply of them?
Life supply is what she's requested.
Lifetime supply.
She's 20
Yeah.
years old. She's written to Nestle and says they ignored their duty of care to
No,
customers.
that's it. She's lost me.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
They go about advertising the unique concept of Kit Kat, but I'm so disappointed by what I have purchased.
Oh no, that's a
She's
bullshit.
gone about it
She
in the wrong way
is
for
a
me.
law student and has even quoted some case from the 1930s to back up her argument.
Which case?
What she should have done is
It doesn't
said,
give the full details
"Dear
in this particular.
Nestle, I was really looking forward to having a break, and I was really disappointed that I bit in, something along those lines, and make it a bit funny."
Remember the time I did it to Storeen when I got one of my little bite-sized banana loaf bars,
Yeah.
and their slogan is "The secret's in the squidge."
Right.
And I opened it up and I took a bite. Well, actually, I felt it and it thought, this feels weird. And I took a bite and it was hollow.
Right.
So there was the crust and the squidgy bit, and there was no squidgy bit in the
There was
middle.
no- there was
It
no
was gone. It was basically one big air bubble.
Oh.
So I took a picture of it and tweeted them and says, "You've robbed me of my squidge."
Hey, what gives?
What's going on?
Did they get back to you?
Yeah, they asked my address and they sent me like
Some Saurian vouchers.
Saurian vouchers, like a couple of quid's
Superb.
worth of Saurian vouchers.
Cool.
That's all right, isn't it?
Well done,
Why should you
Saurian.
expect a lifetime supply of
You
Saurian,
shouldn't.
though?
Yeah,
You should just be
you shouldn't.
happy and pleased when you get something.
Anything, yes.
Yeah. One of my friends. Did I ever tell you about my friend from work who she bought some, what are they called? Shortbread biscuits.
Okay.
She bought box of shortbread biscuits, and they had one of these competition things on the side where you put a code in. She put the code in, and won a year's supply of shortbread biscuits.
Oh, lovely.
So she got sent about 30 packets I think it was like 30 packs a month or something like that. It was a lot.
That's a lot, yeah.
A pack a day.
It was a lot. I can't remember how many. It might not have been 30, but it was a lot.
That's a lot.
And then she put the code in off one of the packs she won and won again.
Oh no.
So she had to contact this company and say, look, I can't cope with as many as you're going to be sending me if I
I'm
claim
going to
this
turn
now.
into a BBC News
Can-
obesity segment.
Can I have these in consecutive years rather than, can I have 2 years running rather than 2 sets at the same time? And thankfully they agreed to it after a lot of persuasion. But yeah,
That's good.
2 years worth of...
Well, when was the last time we bought toothpaste? It's at least 3 years now.
I was working at Susu still, and I've been at the Print Centre 2 years, so...
You should probably put this into context.
2.5
You
years.
should probably...
Yeah, when Kitty was working at the Student Union, they were giving out free samples of toothpaste
Yeah.
at Freshers' Fair, and there was loads left behind.
Yeah.
So we got,
Colgate Max
3 or
White
4
1.
boxes of these little samples, and we gave one to her mum, we gave one to her sister, and we had 2.
Yeah.
Each little mini tube lasts a week.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
It lasts more than a week.
Because they always...
You don't need to use very much.
I was going to say, they always advertise for you to put more on than you need to.
Yeah. So we've still got a box upstairs.
In the loft, and we just
full.
keep getting down our toothpaste as and when we need
So
them.
we haven't bought every time we go to Sainsbury's, like, should we get some toothpaste? No. I think we've run out of toothpaste.
That's cool.
Last story of the night.
Yay! Nearly cup of tea time.
EasyJet has opened a budget 25p supermarket in London.
Oh.
Sounds great.
Easy food store.
Easy food store.
Where everything, it's like Poundland, but cheaper.
Does it just sell oranges?
No.
Oh, good.
Everything's 25p. It's in Park Royal, North London, and they sell everything from biscuits, tea, chickpeas, sardines, Jaffa cakes, ginger nuts, you name it.
Jaffa cakes for
Is it
25p.
proper brand
25p
stuff?
a box of Jaffa. No.
No.
The picture here shows Jaffa cakes that the random brand, and the biscuits seem like random brand.
Like
as well.
little type things.
They could
Yes.
take the Happy Shopper packaging, couldn't they? Because that was orange and white.
Yeah. Apparently everything's 25p at the minute, although an EasyJet spokesman suggests prices could increase to 50p.
Ooh. Well, they've lost me then.
They basically, Stelios hopes that the new store will rival Aldi and Lidl,
It could do.
especially at those prices. If the
Yeah.
goods are any good.
That's the good thing about Aldi and Lidl is it is good quality
Yeah.
stuff in
Yeah,
there.
some of
That's
it.
why they're doing so well.
You've got to know what stuff's good and what
Yeah.
stuff's not so good, because
Yeah.
I've bought a few things in there that are really cheap, and then I've tried them and I haven't liked them, so it's been a bit of a waste.
But it is definitely cheaper.
Yes, much. Apparently on the opening day, someone tweeted to say that he's seen a family shop in there and spend 27 quid,
That's good going.
which on 25p an item.
It's good that it's got enough
quite a lot.
items that you can do a family shop.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think they'd have enough items.
Well, there's obviously, you can't do a full shop there.
Yeah,
and they've got
where you
like
get your meats.
fresh fruit and veg and milk and
Yeah.
meat and that sort of stuff. But yeah, canned goods, they do chopped tomatoes and all that sort of stuff.
Decent. If they're doing milk for 25p, there's going to be backlash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So that's obviously one of the things they can't do.
no.
But that's it. That's the end. So that was the Weird Week That Was, which means we have reached the end of the show. And now, our lovely, lovely listeners, if you hear any weird news stories that you think we should mention on the podcast, or you've got any opinions on anything we've discussed, please do get in touch. All the contact details you need are coming up in just a moment. Don't forget to go to iTunes and subscribe, and make sure you don't miss us next week. It would also be great if you could leave us a review and a rating and spread the word about us. So thank you very much for listening. Anyone else got any final words today?
Just thank you. And oh yeah, do listen, because we'll soon be as featured on Pointless, hopefully.
Yes, hopefully. So until next time, guys, we hope you have a great week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to the Dead Piett Society.
Send us an email to studio@deadpiettssociety.com
Tweet us at Dead Piett Sock.
or phone the studio and leave a voicemail. Call us now on 02380 971 030.
For more information, head to deadpiettsociety.com.
The Dead Piett Society.